Right now, there are over 1.5 million people sitting in corporate meetings, absolutely zoning out.
Oh, yeah, completely.
Like not writing down a single word and just completely relying on an AI to take their notes. I mean, the days of opening a video app just to see your coworkers' faces, those are over.
They're entirely over, yeah.
Right, because today we're looking at a fresh stack of financial slides. Specifically, Zoom Communications Q1 FY27 earnings report from May 21st, 2026. And it shows this platform quietly becoming this like invisible AI-driven workforce.
It really is a profound shift in how we fundamentally interact with our digital tools. I mean, we are so conditioned to think of software as a passive instrument.
Right, like a tool.
Exactly. You grab a hammer, you swing it, you put it away.
Yeah.
But looking through this earnings report, the data shows that the world's biggest companies, they aren't buying a hammer anymore.
No, they're not.
They're buying an entire automated construction crew.
And that is exactly the mission of our deep dive today. We are ripping the lid off these financial metrics to answer one central question for you. How did the app we all use to just, make simple video calls transform into an all-encompassing digital brain for the modern workplace?
It's a great question.
Okay, let's unpack this, because if you look at what is driving this sales volume right now, they aren't pushing server minutes.
No.
They are pushing features like the Zoom AI Companion or AIC. Their paid monthly active users are up 184% year over year.
That's just wild.
Right, and that My Notes feature alone has crossed 1.5 million users.
What's fascinating here is the mechanism of that feature. Like, it isn't just a blind transcription bot that spits out a wall of text at the end of an hour.
Yeah, nobody wants to read that.
Exactly. It's a synthesis engine. It listens to the nuance of the conversation, distills all the rambling thoughts into coherent action items, and proactively assigns those tasks to the participants.
Which is huge.
It is. By automating that specific friction point, Zoom embeds itself so deeply into the daily workflow that it ceases to be a utility. It becomes the corporate memory.
I think of it like the evolution of a car. For decades, a car was just a steering wheel and pedals. You had to do all the driving, constantly adjusting to the traffic.
Right, a manual process.
Yeah, and that was video software just a few years ago. But now it's shifting to autonomous driving. The software is reading the road signs, summarizing the traffic conditions ahead, and essentially steering the meeting for you.
That's a perfect analogy.
But it's moving beyond just meetings, right? They're highlighting wins for the ZVA receptionist for Zoom Phone.
And we have to clarify what ZVA actually means in practice, because the Zoom virtual agent is not one of those archaic press 1 for sales, press 2 for support phone trees.
Ugh, the ones everyone hates.
Exactly. Everyone hates them. But ZVA uses conversational AI to parse natural language intent.
So you just talk to it normally?
You do. A caller can speak completely naturally about a complex issue, and the ZVA understands the context well enough to dynamically route the call, or even solve the problem without a human ever picking up.
Wow.
That's why Zoom Phone saw annual recurring revenue, or ARR, grow in the mid-teens year over year. It's an entire communication stack now.
And it even bleeds into human resources, which I found wild. The report highlights an AI product called BrightHire by Zoom, which was just immediately snapped up by massive tech companies like MongoDB, Figma, HubSpot.
Yeah.
The AI is actually acting as a hiring advisor. But, the client list that really caught my eye wasn't just the flashy tech companies.
Right, it was the legacy guys.
Yes, it was the legacy institutions. They landed major deals with Baptist Health and a massive, unnamed government contractor. I mean, 15 out of their top 20 wins included these broader ecosystem tools like Workplace or Zoom Phone.
Which signals a massive threshold being crossed. I mean, a highly regulated entity like a sprawling hospital network or a government contractor, they do not buy experimental software.
No, the risk is too high.
Right. They have catastrophic liabilities regarding IT compliance, patient privacy, data security. So when those legacy industries start migrating to tools like Custom AI Companion,
it's a huge stamp of approval.
Exactly. It tells you the AI is doing local, secure processing. It proves to the market that the technology is hardened enough for critical infrastructure.
So they've essentially built the ultimate highly secure corporate brain for their internal employees. But what happens when that internal brain faces outward? Like, how does this technology change the way these companies interact with you, the actual customer?
Well, that brings us to their ZCX division, which is Zoom Customer Experience. And the financial velocity here is just striking.
How so?
The ARR for ZCX is accelerating with high double-digit year-over-year growth, And the defining data point is that 9 out of 10 of their top ZCX deals involved paid AI.
Wow, 9 out of 10.
Yeah. The artificial intelligence is no longer an optional add-on module. It is literally the primary reason the enterprise is signing the contract.
I want to look specifically at a dashboard they launched in March. It's called CX Insights. The slide deck actually shows a screenshot of the interface, and it is incredibly granular.
Really
Like,
is.
it analyzes over 1,300 distinct engagements, tracking average handle durations down to the absolute second, like 4 minutes and 12 seconds. And it's flagging trending topics.
Right.
It warns managers about a sudden 40% spike in iOS login failures or bottlenecks in refund status inquiries.
And this is the pivot from reactive management to proactive management.
Okay.
Before this, a call center director just saw a red line on a graph indicating that the hold queue was getting longer.
Hold on, though. Here's where it gets really interesting, but I have to push back a little.
Okay, sure.
When you describe an AI flagging a 4-minute and 12-second call, my mind immediately goes to Big Brother. Are we just building a digital overseer to sweat the call center workers?
I get that.
Like, is this just a tool to micromanage humans down to the millisecond to squeeze out more productivity?
That is the instinctual fear with workplace analytics. Totally. But if we look at the specific capabilities of CX Insights, it actually operates inversely to that.
Real.
The mechanism here is designed to identify process inefficiency, not necessarily agent inefficiency.
Okay, walk me through how the software actually knows the difference between, say, a lazy worker and a broken company policy. Is it like reading the chat transcripts?
Yes, it is ingesting the transcripts, the audio sentiment, and the knowledge base access logs all simultaneously.
Oh, wow.
Right. So let's say wait times suddenly surge. Without AI, the manager yells at the floor to wrap up their calls faster.
Just telling everyone to hurry up.
Exactly. But CX Insights dives into the data and realizes that agents are pausing for long stretches because they are struggling with complex discount stacking rules.
Ah, okay.
Like a customer wants to know if their holiday promo code applies on top of their loyalty discount. The policy is poorly written, so the agents have to put the customer on hold to go ask a supervisor.
Oh, wow. So the software recognizes the repeated hesitation and the specific phrases being used across dozens of calls simultaneously.
Precisely. The AI surfaces the root cause to the manager. It effectively says, hey, your agents aren't slow. Your discount policy is confusing.
That's a huge difference.
It is. The manager can then instantly push a clarification to all agent screens, resolving the bottleneck. Zoom calls this an AI-first customer experience.
And when you see global brands like Chelsea Football Club, Caliber, Ringsa overhauling their operations with these ZCX tools, I mean, it demonstrates how desperate these organizations are for this level of operational X-ray vision.
Oh, absolutely. They need it.
So the technology is fundamentally rewiring how these businesses operate. But
Yeah.
here's the reality check, right? AI compute is notoriously expensive.
Very expensive.
Running these massive language models on every single call and meeting, I mean, it costs an absolute fortune in server power. Are these massive companies actually paying enough for this ecosystem to make it a viable business model?
Well, if we connect this to the bigger picture, the financials in Q1 reveal a very deliberate bifurcated strategy playing out. Total Q1 revenue came in at $1.239 billion.
Okay.
That's a 5.5% year-over-year growth rate, which is an acceleration. And this isn't isolated to one market. They saw 5% growth in the Americas, 5% in EMEA, Europe, Middle East, and Africa, and 6% in the Asia-Pacific region.
Broad growth.
Yeah. But the real story is in the composition of that $1.2 billion.
Because they are hunting whales now, not just fishing for minnows anymore.
Yes.
Enterprise revenue alone makes up 61% of their total pie, sitting at $756 million for the quarter. They have 4,534 customers that are generating over $100,000 in trailing 12 months revenue.
And that trailing 12 months, or TTM, that is the crucial metric there because it smooths out the seasonal spikes and shows you the underlying stability of the contracts.
And those contracts are glued to the floor. The TTM net dollar expansion rate for their enterprise customers is 99%, which actually ticked up a point from last year.
Right.
But here is the contradiction I need you to reconcile for me.
Okay, what is it?
While their enterprise business is expanding and locking in, their online average monthly churn actually crept up. It went from 2.8% last year to 3.0% this year. If this AI is so revolutionary, why are they bleeding 3% of their online users every single month?
It's a fair question. To understand that divergence, you have to look at the psychology and the switching costs of the two different user bases.
Okay.
If you are a freelancer or a small business owner, basically the typical online tier customer, you are highly price sensitive.
Right.
If you just need a link to do a 30-minute video chat and a competitor offers a promotion that saves you $5 a month, you cancel your subscription and switch. Your switching cost is literally just clicking a different app icon on your laptop.
Right. If you've ever canceled a software subscription because you found a cheaper alternative, you are that 3.0% churn.
Exactly. But the enterprise whale experiences massive ecosystem lock-in. When a multinational corporation adopts Zoom Workplace and ZCX, they are porting over tens of thousands of secure phone numbers.
It's a huge operation.
Massive. They're feeding years of proprietary company data into the custom AI companion so it learns their specific corporate jargon. Their customer service dashboards are deeply integrated into their supply chain software.
So you can't just rip that out over a weekend to save a few dollars per license. It would paralyze the company.
You absolutely cannot. The friction to leave is immense. That is why the net dollar expansion rate sits at 99%. Once an enterprise builds its house on this platform, they don't move. They just keep adding extensions.
Making it stickier.
Yes. So Zoom is entirely comfortable letting the fickle, low-margin casual user churn out at 3% because they are aggressively capturing and expanding these highly lucrative, deeply entrenched enterprise accounts.
Which brings us back to the cost of running all this. Making $1.2 billion on the top line is great, but how efficiently is Zoom running this AI-heavy machine? Like, are they burning through cash to keep the servers humming?
Far from it, actually. The profitability metrics are arguably the most staggering part of this entire report. Their non-GAAP operating margin hit 41.1%.
Which is huge.
It is. It's up 130 basis points year over year. And their free cash flow was an incredible $500 million for the quarter. That is a 40.4% free cash flow margin.
Okay, let's translate the accounting speak here for a second, specifically around that term non-GAAP.
Sure.
Because if you look closely at the report, their standard GAAP operating margin, the generally accepted accounting principles, that was around 25.1%, but their non-GAAP margin leaks up to 41.1%. What exactly is that 16% ghost money floating between those two numbers?
So, that difference is almost entirely driven by stock-based compensation. In the tech industry, companies compensate their engineers and executives heavily with stock options rather than pure cash salaries.
Right, pretty standard.
Yeah. But the rigid rules of GAAP require Zoom to record the value of that stock as a massive expense against their revenue, which drastically lowers their official profit margin on paper.
But it's not actual cash leaving the company's bank account today.
Precisely. No actual dollars are being wired out of the treasury to pay for those stock options. So management uses non-GAAP metrics to strip out those non-cash expenses.
Ah, I see.
It shows you the raw, underlying cash-generating power of the business operations. Jumping from 25% to a 41.1% non-GAAP margin reveals that the core business is an absolute cash machine.
So what does this all mean? Producing $500 million in free cash flow in just 90 days essentially gives Zoom an unlimited war chest. They can build their own custom large language models or just outright buy whatever AI startups they want.
And this raises an important question about their capital allocation. Like, how exactly does management view the current market if they're sitting on that much cash?
Well, the slides tell us exactly what they are doing. They're buying themselves.
Yep.
They repurchased 40.4 million shares under an existing $3.7 billion authorization, and they just authorized another incremental $1 billion for stock buybacks after April 30th, 2026.
It's a huge bet on themselves.
At the same time, their non-GAAP research and development expense was over $153 million for the quarter, and they are projecting full-year FY27 revenue to cross $5.08 billion.
That dual approach to capital allocation, the heavy R&D paired with massive buybacks, that is the ultimate signal of executive confidence.
They believe in the pivot.
They do. They're sinking $153 million into the deep innovation required to build features like CX Insights and autonomous note-taking. But by simultaneously authorizing another $1 billion to buy back their own stock, the board is basically looking at the market.
Looking at the enterprise growth?
Exactly. Looking at the internal data of how fast these AI tools are being adopted by enterprise whales, and concluding that the stock market is still undervaluing their transformation. They believe betting on themselves is the best possible return on investment.
It is a wild transformation to observe. So tying this all together, the company that became a household name by providing a simple grid of video feeds is effectively gone.
Completely different company now.
Yeah. They have accelerated their revenue by executing a massive pivot into an AI-first enterprise ecosystem. They are landing highly regulated, massive global clients. They are using artificial intelligence to root out systemic inefficiencies in customer service centers.
Right.
And they are generating a mountain of free cash flow to fund aggressive stock buybacks, easily absorbing the slight uptick in casual users canceling their accounts.
And that is the lens you should use the next time you log into your digital workspace, whether you are using this platform or a competitor. Take a moment to observe the software.
Look at what it's doing behind the scenes.
Exactly. Notice how much of the heavy lifting is no longer being done by you. The system is quietly analyzing the duration of your calls, distilling the action items from your meetings, and proactively suggesting your next workflow. The app has evolved from a medium of communication into an active participant.
Which leaves you with a slightly mind-bending thought to chew on.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. If the Zoom AI companion is flawlessly transcribing the meeting and assigning the tasks, and the virtual agent is autonomously routing the customer calls, and the BrightHire AI is analyzing who the company should hire next.
What's left for us?
Right. What exactly is the human's role on the call? Are we rapidly approaching a threshold where our digital assistants just schedule meetings with each other to optimize company policy while we just sit back and watch the transcripts roll in?
It's entirely possible.
Think about it. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive. We'll catch you next time.